Hi, welcome to Travel Tales with Judith. I'm Judith, and I share stories and experiences about a lifetime of traveling. Well, at this ripe old age of 78, well, in 2 weeks, I finally made it to Japan. I kind of put it off because of the long flight, and I'm getting older, and I'm not so crazy about the long flights anymore. But I had this opportunity, and although it was a short trip, it was only 2 weeks. It was for me like Japan 101. I love trips where I learn things. I love trips where I find out things I had no idea about. And so this trip served as Japan 101 for me. And I would certainly consider even going back to Japan for a more in depth experience the second time. Once you learn how to navigate getting money, getting the transportation card filled up with money, going to convenience stores for meals, and I can talk about all these things in future videos, then you find that navigation is not that difficult. It helps if you can figure out a few tours. My partner and I had a few tours already set up for us on a kind of one-to-one basis, which really helped with learning about things and talking in depth about history and culture and what's okay and what's not okay. One of the things I'll tell you to do if you do go to Japan is see a couple of videos on YouTube about etiquette in restaurants, what you should do in restaurants, what you should not do in restaurants. And there are things that you wouldn't know, and you don't want to be offensive. So it's a good idea to be kind of prepared in that respect. I found the Japanese people extremely helpful and fun and lovely. And a couple times when we were standing in confusion in one of the train platforms in Tokyo, just overwhelmed. I mean, the train stations are just filled with people. They have those bullet trains going like every 20 minutes, and there are like 20 of these huge long cars on one train, and they're all full. You've got to be in the right place at the right time. But people would come up to us as we stood there looking a little bit overwhelmed and immediately ask what we needed to do, and then they help us do it. And that was really nice of them. And those weren't employees there. Those were just people in the train station who saw a couple of tourists looking a bit overwhelmed and confused with the situation at the time. So one more thing I'm going to say before I tell you a quick story is I would seriously consider the time that you go to Japan. Cherry blossom time in the spring and fall foliage in the fall they're just, I can't even think of words to tell you how filled up they are with tourists. I've seen films of this. Thank goodness I didn't go at that time. I've seen films where people are walking down the street and it is like a huge protest or Christmas shopping, or you can't even move. And I went 3 weeks before fall foliage, and there were some people, there were tourists there, um, that, coming a little early like we were, but there were no crowds, and we had no problems anywhere, with too many people. But when I saw those films of if you don't mind people, you don't mind feeling claustrophobic, if you don't mind, sharing every single thing you want to see with thousands of people, then you can go with those other times. Yes, the nature is probably more beautiful, but I was still impressed with the nature, even though it was not that time of the year. So, so the story I'm going to tell you is from the city of Kanazawa, where we spent about four days, I think, at the end of our trip, and we had a city tour there with a lovely woman. Her name was Nozumo, and toward the end of the tour, she took us down to the river, which unfortunately I cannot think of the name of, but she told us it was a female river, meaning a gentle river. And there is a legend or a superstition or a belief or whatever you want to call it about something that happens at this river. This river has 7 bridges. So if you, on either the fall or spring equinox, go stand on one of the bridges either the furthest bridge to the right or the furthest bridge to the left. And you stand there at midnight and you don't speak a word and you wear clean underwear. And then you actually walk all 7 bridges. So you're doing kind of a zigzag thing, one bridge and then up to the next bridge and over and up to the next bridge and over all 7 bridges. Then you will never have to wear diapers in your old age. Something to think about. I'll be adding some more videos about Japan shortly, but I think you can tell from my enthusiasm about the trip. And I have to say one more thing. I'm still processing this trip. Now, this trip was about 4 months ago, and my partner and I are still processing the trip. We still talk about it a lot. We still are trying to integrate some of the things that we learned, but it was a great trip. So I hope you have the chance to get to Japan at some point in your life. Very, very interesting. Okay, I will talk to you later. Bye.